Today, you're going to learn how to edge glue your material together, setting up clamps, lining up your wood, and then also rotating your end grain so that your wood will not cup or warp. So to get started, the first thing that you want to do is you want to get a couple of clamps, spread them out so that when you lay them out, you have about an inch extra on each end. After you get done doing that, then you want to lay your material out in the order that you want it to be in. After I have it laid out like this in the order that I want, the next thing that I want to do is I want to look at my end grain. And what I mean by that is the rotation of the annual rings. What you want the wood to do is on each piece you want to either start with the crest of a wave and then move to the trough of a wave, crest, trough, or vice versa. It could start with a trough and then move on to crest, trough. And so that what you want is to have the growth rings do this on the end of your board. So when you put it together, it will remain flat and it will not either cup or warp. So now that I have my material laid out, I want to look at my end grain, get it all set up so that I have the crest of a wave, and then I have my trough, and then I have a crest, trough, crest, and then this last one needs to be flipped over so it's the trough of the wave. Now that I have done that, I have my two clamps set up. Make sure that I have them out evenly. Set things up so that I have one end even. I have my end grain is all rotated. Now bring the clamp forward and bring this one forward. One of the things that you want to pay attention to when you're working on this is to make sure that you have enough thread between your handle and this portion of the clamp. If there isn't thread, you need to make sure that you back it out so you have a sufficient amount so that you can tighten up your project. So get this one in nice and even, bring your clamps in, and now tighten it up. We always want to do a dry clamp before we actually place any glue in, because we want to make sure that all of our joints are nice and tight and there are no gaps. So I have my one end even. I have my grain rotated like I talked about, where I have the crest of the wave, trough, and just like waves on water or sound waves. After I have that set up, get this end even, and then draw either a V on your board, or you can number or letter them A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then what will happen is when I go to actually apply the glue and to tighten everything back up, as long as I line up my V or I line up my alphabet, I know that my one end is going to be nice and even and my grain will be rotated. So now that I have it all set in place, now I'm going to look at each one of my joints where they come together, and if there is a gap in any of those joints, what I need to do, like right here, I have a little gap, so I am going to put an X on the face right next to those two edges. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to loosen my clamps up and I am going to go over to the joiner. Because the pieces of wood are narrow, fight the clamp a little bit first. Because the pieces are narrow, make sure that you use a push stick, push them through nice and slow. And so since it is these two pieces, and I have my X's, that means that this edge, and here's my X, so this edge are going to both go through the joiner. And so what I will do is I will go joint them, and I will be right back. So now I have just finished joining my material, so I am going to set it back up, line up my V, and I want to just double check to make sure that I got rid of that gap. So make sure that I get everything lined back up. Get that V back in rotation so that everything is where it's supposed to be. Even it up. And then just go back real quick, doesn't take long, and go through and just snug your clamps back up and make sure where that gap was that everything is all gone. Now I'm ready. My gap is gone. I have my V, my grain is rotated, I have an even end. And so now what I'm going to do is loosen up my clamps. Put my glasses away because I can see for this. And then rotate each of your boards back to you except for the last one. And then now I'm going to take my glue and I am going to spread it on each edge. And I want to make sure that as I put my glue on that I am also going to spread the glue so that my edge is completely covered. And so then that way I get a good even amount of glue. I'm going to try this one again because this bottle isn't working. Okay, round 2 with the glue. Oh, baby. So I run my glue, finger of your choice, whichever one you like to spread the glue out with. Go a little bit more on these because I didn't have enough because the bottle wasn't clean. So now I am going to just take and use my finger to spread the glue so that my entire edge is covered. It's kind of like making a sandwich. There is no dry bread allowed. If you're making your PB&J, you want to make sure that that PB&J has peanut butter and jelly covering all surfaces of the bread. Or if you're making that turkey sandwich for the 24th straight year, make sure that the mustard, because we don't like mayonnaise, is covering the bread. So, can't emphasize enough, no dry bread. So you get this all set up, and then this other clamp we're going to put on top. And the one thing that we need to make sure is when we put that one on top, that it is nice and level and in the middle. And if you notice when we get done, that our clamps will be evenly set up. And so I line up my V, which is going to help me with the end. Probably need to go back to the glasses so that I can actually see the V. Get everything set up just perfect. Bring my clamps in, and now slowly tighten this one. It's going to start to move on you. And then slowly tighten this one up. Scoot back over this one a little bit more, and then the wood won't move on you so much as if you just tighten one up the whole way. So just take your time, clamping it up. And so now I know that I have enough clamping pressure and enough glue because I have all this glue that is beating up, and so I know that my pressure is correct on it. You don't have to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe to try and tighten this thing. Just one hand, get it snug so that it beads. And then when you have those beads like that, you know that you have enough glue. Then on this last clamp, put it on, nice setup in the middle. Make sure that it's nice and even, maybe about the thickness of your finger gap in there, and then just snug it up with just one hand, and now I have nice and even clamping pressure. When you have completed doing all this, do not wipe off the glue. We will use a glue scraper. We will use a glue scraper to scrape the glue after it is already dried. And so what you want to do is put your first and last name on the board, and also what time it is, 4:30. And so then we know that in roughly 1 hour of clamping time, that will be sufficient for the glue, and we can start working on it again. So then if somebody else needs to use some clamps, they can. And so that is an easy way to go about clamping up your edge gluing